It's another group over there in AEW that I want to talk about real quick, hopefully. Knowing me, we don't know. We might go another 30 minutes talking about this. The other group of AEW that I want to talk about real quick, since we talking about groups, is Jon Moxley and the Death Riders. This is another thing, man. Now, I'm not trying to get out on AEW too much, because enough people have already pointed out all of the inadequacies about AEW, all of the inferiorities. But I will say that it's disappointing to see Jon Moxley have that type of a group, as I understand how hard it is to do any type of art form. I'm an artist myself, so that's why I'm always respectful how I speak about people that do what they love to do, because it's not easy. It's not easy to do some of these things. Even now, even just being on camera, talking to the world, it's easier said than done. So that's why I always preference my comments before I just speak about things that I don't know nothing about. If you watch me or you watch my channel, you're not hearing from that type of man. You're hearing from a man that understands what it's like to sacrifice and put in the work. So I never take for granted what people are doing to live their dreams. But with that being said, Jon Moxley being with this group is just not it. And it's never been it. That's my thing. You had some type of spark at the beginning when you had Bryan Danielson be a part of that. But if I'm being honest, even having Bryan Danielson a part of that group with Jon Moxley, it just didn't fit. As a true fan of professional wrestling, it's more than just throwing guys together to make a group. These guys have to have chemistry. And part of the chemistry is the look of the group. They have to look like a group. Wheeler Yuta, if I'm saying his name right, what are we talking about? And he's a good wrestler. But he shouldn't be a part of the Death Riders. He shouldn't be one of Jon Moxley's proteges. Why? What purpose does that serve for either guy? Because if you're saying that you want to help Wheeler Yuta, I can't even say the name. If you want to say that Yuta needed some type of veteran presence to help his career get to that next level, cool. But don't put him with Jon Moxley. If you guys know me by now at Worldwide Classics, then you know that I'm a Shield guy. And you know that Dean Ambrose was my guy out of the Shield. So this hits home for me when it comes to Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, because I always want to see him do well. And he is at the top of AEW as their world champion. But it's just like the WWE. Just because a guy has a championship doesn't mean that they're being utilized the best way. Jon Moxley, I love the whole direction that he went in when he came back to AEW and he told Tony Schiavone that this company isn't his anymore, that the company isn't theirs anymore. I love the direction of that. I was disappointed that it didn't turn into what it could have turned into, in terms of a lot of people speculated that Shane McMahon could be a part of it. Even if it wasn't Shane McMahon, we still just could have went harder with that. We could have went bigger and better with that. But all we did was just give him the same people that he was already with, and I never agreed with that in the first place. Yuta, and then my man Cesaro, the name that he got right now in AEW, I can't pronounce that. And I'm not about to try to pronounce it. My man Cesaro got some type of name over there at AEW that sound like some type of spaghetti or something. Like, I'm not about to even try to pronounce that. So I'm just going to call him Cesaro. Cesaro from WWE, who's currently in AEW. I could see Cesaro being with Jon Moxley over there as part of the group. I'm not too mad about that, because that kind of makes sense a little bit, because Cesaro kind of fits that mold. You know what I'm saying? Like the tough guys, basically. Cesaro fits that role as like one of the tough guys, because that's basically what Jon Moxley is, in my opinion. When he was in WWE as Dean Ambrose, I thought that he should have went under the name of Dangerous Dean Ambrose. I thought that the Dangerous should have been a part of his character in WWE, because that's what we needed to see from Dean Ambrose. That's what he's good at. And he's showing it with the Death Riders. Being violent, being cold-hearted, being calculated. That's what Dean Ambrose and Jon Moxley is all about. So you need similar type of counterparts around him. And then you also have Pac, formerly known as Neville in WWE. You have Pac, a part of the Death Riders. And I love Pac. I love Neville. You know what I'm saying? Like, Neville is super underrated when it comes to either company, AEW or WWE. Pac is one of the most underrated professional wrestlers, but he still doesn't belong in this group with Jon Moxley. They just don't even look like guys who would even be in the same place together if it wasn't for professional wrestling. If it wasn't for wrestling, those guys don't even look like they would be around Jon Moxley. They don't even look like guys Jon Moxley would even associate himself with. You know what I'm saying? Especially on this mission that he's on, trying to take over AEW. These are just not the guys. When he first recruited Yuta, Jon Moxley, that is, when he first recruited Yuta a couple years back, I actually wanted to see 2.0 align themselves with Jon Moxley. And 2.0 at the time was Danny Garcia, and then I forget the other guy's name because I'm not gonna say his nickname. Like, I just don't even get out like that. I'm a grown man. I don't call guys certain things. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna say whatever his nickname is, and I can't remember what his actual name is. But 2.0 was just a group at the time, and they were new on the scene at AEW. And they actually had a little momentum going for themselves at the time. They ended up aligning themselves with Chris Jericho, which was the worst thing that they could ever do. That was an instant career killer. And again, it's almost like WWE, because it's like, I'm not understanding. These are the people that's supposed to be professionals, the writers and the owners. They're supposed to be the professionals. I'm just a black guy from the south side of Chicago. So to them, what do I know? Right? Obviously, I know enough to know that if you put a group like 2.0 with Chris Jericho and then call them the Jericho Appreciation Society, I know enough to know that you're instantly burying that group by doing that. Because for one, you put them with Chris Jericho. That's instant death. If you a Call of Duty fan at all, instant kill, that's an instant kill. That's an instant death. It's putting anybody with Chris Jericho. Not only do you put them with Chris Jericho, but you name the group the Jericho Appreciation Society. Like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Like, it's a stupid name for one, but you actually gonna bury a group of wrestlers by having them be a part of a group that's just appreciating one guy? Like, Danny Garcia should never be a part of a group like that. You instantly killed his character with that, because 2.0 showed that they could be a little vicious and a little nasty at the time. And that's why I was starting to become a fan of theirs. And at the time, I'm like, damn, that'll be a good look if they put them with Jon Moxley. Like, I feel like Jon Moxley should be their mentor. Jon Moxley should take 2.0 under his wing and just turn them into killers. Just turn them into killers over there at AEW. Because now you killing two birds with one stone. You giving Jon Moxley a decent stable, but then you helping the young guys getting to that next level by putting the right veteran with them. Not just a veteran, but the right veteran. So I'm just disappointed all the way around, man. Like, I love stables and I love groups in professional wrestling, but every group that we've been getting has been a damn disgrace to true professional wrestling fans. It's just been a disgrace, man.